Hello everybody, welcome to the CSS3 course. In this video, I'm going to tell you some ways to style a form. So before I discuss the ways, I want to show you the HTML file first that corresponds to the form on the right hand side. Okay, so the HTML file has a form, and when I just click on the tag, you can see that the portion is highlighted. And also I have a field set inside the form, and I have a legend, which is this part, okay? And after the legend, I have an input box, okay? And after the input box, I have another number input box, so I can have some arrows to help me increase or decrease the value, okay? And after that, I have some radio buttons, okay? And I have the labels corresponding to the radio buttons, okay? After that, I have a pull-down menu, okay? So I can set up some choices inside the pull-down menu. And after the pull-down menu, I have some checkboxes, okay? So these places allow you to give a tick or not, okay? And I also have some labels for the checkboxes, and also I have some other checkboxes. And after that, I have a date entry box shown here. And you can also see that I have a text area to help me just input some text shown here, okay? And I also include a range slider to help me give some value to a certain web page system. And finally, I have a submit button. So I'm going to try my best to do some styles for these features on the form. So let me go back to the beginning, and I also want to show you the CSS file. So usually I want to decorate the form as a whole. I want to add some changes to the legend, as well as to many other components of the form. So I also have some pseudo classes to do the visual effects when some pseudo classes are reached. Okay, I also want to do some changes to the pull-down menu. And I also want to change some effects on the checkbox. I want to decorate my text area. And I also want to change the appearance of the range slider. And of course, I can also change the submit button shown here. So let me try to decorate the form. So let me want to do the style of the entire form. So for a form, I can simply add a background color. Okay, when I just input a number in hexadecimal format, you can see that the form has a certain color indicated by this color value, okay? CCBBAA. And after that, I can simply change the effects of the legend shown here. Now I can change the font family of the legend to monospace, so you see that the font has changed. And after that, I can do some changes on the text box corresponding to the name shown here. So I can change the width of the text box to be 30% of the viewport width. I also add some padding on the text box, okay, which is 10 pixels. Okay, I also changed the border style to be double. So you see that the text box border is a bit different. Okay, I also widened the border width to be 5 pixels. I can also change the background color of my text box to be light gray, so you see the color is a bit different. And I can also change the effect when I do something on the text box. So these things correspond to the pseudo class of the text box. So when I want to focus on the text box, what is the effect that can be shown? Let me try it now. So when I change the background color to pink when I do the focus action, okay, you can see that the background color has changed to pink when I just click on the text box, so that the focus pseudo class is activated. So I can do something more. So when I simply focus on the text box, you can see that the width of the text box has changed to 80% of the viewport width, and the border width of the text box under focus is changed to 8 pixels. So when I don't focus on the text box, you can see that it just returns to the state indicated by the text box state shown above. Okay. Now I want to do the changes on the number box shown here. How can I do that? I can do something like this one. So now you see that there is a margin on the left hand side of the number box. The width is 40 pixels. You can also see that the number is changed to a larger size of 1.5 m, so you see the value is larger than before. Okay, you can also see that the alignment of the text inside the number box is turned to center, so originally it was left by default. You see, it was left as the default value, but I can also change it to center so that you see the number is a bit closer to the right hand side of the number box. I can also do some changes on the radio buttons. So how can I do that? I can do something like this. I want to do some changes in the position so that the position is a bit different from now. So first I set the position attribute to be relative. Now you see that the radio buttons are put to the right a bit differently because I set the left margin to be 60 pixels. So that's why these two buttons are shifted to the right by 60 pixels. You can see that the height of the buttons is set to 25 pixels, so you see the box surrounding the radio button is a bit higher. Now when I also set up the width of the radio button to be 25 pixels, you can see that the radio buttons have increased their size. Okay, so we have to set up both height and the width in order to change the size of the radio button. If I just set one of them, you can't see the changes on the size of the radio buttons. Okay. When I click on the radio button to do the checking, I can have some different visual effects. So let me see something like this one. Okay, I have 5 values following the box shadow property. So the first one means the x offset, and it is set as 0. Same for the second value, which represents the y offset. When I set x offset and y offset to be both 0, it means that I just don't want the color surrounding the radio button to have some shift away from the current position. And the blur radius is 10 pixels. So what does it mean by the word blur radius? When I change it to a larger number, for example 20 pixels, you can see that the blurring is a bit severe than before. If I set 10 pixels, you see that the blurring is a bit restricted. And I can also set up the spread radius. So when I change it to a larger value, say 10 pixels, you can see that the spread is even more than before. So let me change back to the original value of 3 pixels. So you see that the spread of the color surrounding the radio button is not that wide. And of course, the final value is simply the color of the ring surrounding the radio button. So when I check a certain button, you can see that the box shadow properties are activated when I do the checking. Okay. The next thing to talk about is the pull-down menu, which is this one. Okay. So how can I do some styling? I can have some idea. So I can set up the width to be 100 pixels. So you see that the width is a bit wider. I can also set up the border radius to be 10 pixels so that the pull-down menu is no longer a strict rectangle. You can see some rounding around the corners, okay? I can also change the text inside the pull-down menu to be blue, so it is a bit different from the previous state when I didn't set up the color. Okay, it was simply black, but now it is a bit blue. I can also simply change the background color of the pull-down menu to violet. So when I click on the thing, you can see that the background color has turned to violet for all the choices. Okay. In addition to setting the entire pull-down menu to have a certain color, I can simply do some changes to the option color. So let me see how we can do it. So I just want to select the options inside the select tag. Okay, when I set the options to have a certain background color, you see that the options would have another color, but the original pull-down menu is still having the original color, which is violet. But when I just click on the pull-down menu, the background color of the pull-down menu has become khaki, which is another color indicated here. Okay. Now I want to do some changes to the checkbox, which is this one, or that one, or that one. So how can I do that? I can have some idea right now. I want to change the height of the checkboxes to be 30 pixels. And you see the height of the box surrounding the checkbox is increased. Because a checkbox is a square, we have to consider both the height and the width of the checkboxes. So that's why we have both dimensions increased to the same amount. And I really want to change the size of the checkboxes, okay? Of course, I can also set up the pseudo class for the checkboxes. So for example, when I really put my cursor on top of the checkboxes, I can have some changes in the appearance of the cursor. Okay, when I set the cursor to be pointer, you see, it is a pointer shape. So when I just put my cursor on top of the checkboxes, the cursor shape has changed to pointer. Okay. We can also change the appearance of the labels next to the checkboxes. So how can I do that? I can simply select the label that is next to the checkbox. Okay, when I set up the background color of the labels to be orange, you can see that all the words have turned to orange as the background color. Okay. Then I'm going to change the appearance of the date box a little bit, which is this element. Okay. So how can I do that? I can have some idea right now. I can just change the background color to a pale green. I can also change the font family of the words inside the date box to be monospaced. So how about the thing about the text area shown here? I can have some idea. So let me go to the text area, okay? The first thing to change is the background color of the text area, so it is now yellow. I can also set up the border width to be thick, so you see the border width is a bit different. I can also set up the border color to be indigo, okay? You can also set up the font size of the words as inside the text area to be 1.2M, which is this value, okay? So you can see that the text area is also enlarged when I set the font size. Okay, the other thing to change is the range slider, which is this element, okay? Now I set up the width of the range slider to be 300 pixels, so you see it is a bit wider. And the height is now turned to 50 pixels, so now the height is a bit higher, okay? I can also do some changes to the pseudo class of the range slider. So let me do something like this now. Okay, so when I just hover on top of the range slider, you can see that the cursor style has changed to a hand trying to grab the range slider, okay? I can also do some other changes to the pseudo class of the range slider. So when it is active, I can have some idea to do the styling. Okay, so when I simply click on the range slider, you can see that the cursor has turned to another one which resembles the grabbing gesture of your fist, okay? Okay, I can also do some changes on the submit button, which is this one. So how can I do that? I can have some idea. I can change the width to be wider than before. I can also increase the height of the submit button. The color can also be changed. The font size inside the submit button can also be increased. The border style can be changed to another one, which is groove. The border width can be thick. I can also give the border radius so that the button is no longer a strictly rectangular style. Okay, I can do the transition of the background color for 0.5 seconds. So what's the color to change when I do the transition? I can set the target color to change in another pseudo class called hover. Okay, when I put my cursor on top of the button, it spends about 0.5 seconds to change to green-yellow, okay. And you can also see that the cursor style has changed to a pointer, which is different from the original style of a simple cursor, okay. So the transition property shown here is corresponding to the transition when I just put my cursor on top of the button, okay. So the color has changed from the original value of light sky blue to the final value of green yellow, okay. So for this video, we have already seen some basic changes to the forms by using CSS properties and their corresponding values. So you can see that the text box, the text area, the radio buttons, the number boxes, and also the pull-down menus can be changed. And furthermore, we can also change the range slider, and we can also change the appearance of some buttons which are put on a form. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, please leave your questions on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.